Okay, 83 years young. Tell me,
84.
84? You're not 84 yet.
She's older than
I'm
me.
older.
You married an older woman?
Yes, I did.
So tell me about how you guys met.
I already told you.
You know, but you were on camera at the time. So tell me about.
We met on a blind date. A friend of mine who I was in the service with was going to date one of Bernice's girlfriends, and I guess she said, "Well, I'll only go if Bernice goes along."
So it's a package deal.
If you can find a guy to go with her. So that's how we met.
And how old were you? Both?
Well,
I was 23.
not at that time. No, that was
No. Cut that out.
I can cut out later.
we went together for about 3 years, so we must have been about 20 or 21.
No, we were 21.
So you were out of the service.
Yes.
You were done with high school. What were you doing?
I was working either at Bix,
You were.
Bix or at the Berkshire Knitting Mills, one or the
You
other.
were working in the hosiery business.
I was working in the hosiery business.
And you were how old at the time?
How old was
Yeah.
I? I was 21.
Okay.
I was working since I was 16.
Where'd you grow up?
Reading Pa.
Reading, Pennsylvania. How many kids? How many brothers and sisters in the family?
There were 9 in our family, 9 children.
And you are the
Baby.
baby. And you, Bob,
I have
Pop,
one brother and one sister, both still living.
and you grew up where?
In Reading, Pennsylvania, on the other side of town.
Oh,
And how big was Reading, Pennsylvania when you guys were growing
It
up?
was big.
Oh, little
Manufacturing
over
town?
100,000.
That's
maybe.
big.
Yeah, it was a very, very busy manufacturing
Factoring.
city at that time.
Yes.
Both full fashion hosiery,
Steel.
hardware, steel.
Manufacturing.
Coal.
Yeah.
Yes.
So after you got engaged, where did you live first? After you got married?
We lived in a second floor apartment. And at that time, apartments were housing was still short from the war.
So this
and
would have been what year? 1947.
50 we were married.
1950.
So okay.
But there was still a housing shortage, and we had some friends that were renting this apartment, and they were moving out, and they recommended us to the landlord.
And what were you doing for a job then?
I was working at Bell Telephone when we first got married as a lineman, and shortly thereafter I went to work for American Casualty Company in the insurance business.
And Bob, were you working after you got
I
married?
was working at a full fashion hosiery.
Still doing? What were you doing? What was
Mending. I was a mender.
So you got up, went to work at what time in the morning?
I started at 7. 7 to 7, half hour for lunch till 3:30.
So was it like on a manufacturing line?
And then I was going to night school
What were you going to school for?
to graduate
High school?
high school.
Okay. And you did finally graduate high
I
school?
did. I had 3 years of it.
So how old were you when you graduated high school?
Did we know one another?
Yes, yeah, maybe a year before we got married.
Why didn't you finish high school when you were at high school?
I had a problem. I had a skin problem.
Okay.
And that's right, I had the skin problem.
Yeah.
But I don't want that.
So you didn't
on
finish.
here.
Oh, well, we can cut that out.
Anyhow,
A
All right.
skin
So
problem.
after you.
she had to drop out of
I had to
school
drop
for
out of
the-
school. The nurse took all my books from me and
Oh, really?
aired them and everything, yes.
And
I
if
was-
that would happen today, you would have put some cream on it. You would have been fine, probably,
Oh,
right?
well, no, there was a problem there because at first when I went to the skin doctor, I had purple all over my legs and all over my arms. Nobody knew what it was from.
Huh.
But just like that, it disappeared. But that's why I had to quit
The good
school.
So
news is-
you finished school and you're all good. And
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
Graduated
50
high
some years
school
ago.
and
60 some years ago. All right, so 1950, you're married, you're living in an apartment, you started working with the insurance company. Then what'd you do? When was Karen first born? Your firstborn? How long were you married?
September 51.
one.
So a year after you've been married? Year and a half?
Year and a-
Yeah.
year and 3 months, yeah.
And you were still in an apartment?
Yes.
Yes, we had Karen, yeah.
And then where'd you go?
Well, my grandparents lived fairly close to where we were renting, and my grandmother was still living. My aunt had converted their house row home into 3 apartments, and she was living on the 3rd floor in a furnished apartment. And after she passed away, we had an opportunity to buy the old house from my aunt for
So you brought your aunt's old house.
$10,000, and so we lived on the 1st floor, and we rented the 2nd floor to a lady that was there.
I mean, that was quite common back then, wasn't it? People had renters all the time.
Yeah, and then the 3rd floor we left as a furnished apartment and rented it out also.
So you had 2 tenants and you guys and Karen.
Yeah.
And you were still working in the insurance company.
Yes.
Did you still work at that time, babcia? Or did you, after I had Karen, did you stop working?
I started working after we had Karen, but that didn't last too long because it was taking Karen over to the babysitter
My mother.
and
Yeah.
to whatever her name was, and then you would bring her home, and I would one or the other. But it was too much. I didn't care for it.
So when did the traveling start? You moved. How long were you there? And then you moved to what was your first job
In
transfer?
1955, we moved to Milwaukee. I was a manager of a one-man office.
So in '55, is that when Tom born in Milwaukee?
Tom was born. Tom was in the hospital when I went in and talked to Bernice about moving. So he had just been born.
So in Reading.
In
Reading.
Reading.
And then you said, "Hey, honey, we're moving to
We're
Milwaukee."
moving. And I said, when? And he says, well, anytime.
So then you
He
went
was
to
born in March and we moved in June.
and you moved to Milwaukee to go with still the same insurance company.
Same company. I was a claim office as a sub-office of the Chicago branch office.
And how long were you guys in Milwaukee?
1 year. We were there just about 10 months, and we said, well, I think we'll be here. We'll buy a house.
We
We were
bought,
renting a 2-bedroom apartment, and we bought the house, and in fact, we bought it, we painted the inside ourselves and the outside to get a better price, and I think we lived in the house a month,
you moved 2 months and we lived there a year.
and we went to Reading for a claim meeting,
Yeah.
and I was offered the opportunity to move to Minneapolis to manage a big
So the
office.
insurance company was headquartered in Reading. Is that where the home office was?
Yes.
Okay. So then you moved to Minneapolis,
Yeah.
and that was 1956.
6
Okay.
Yeah.
And how long were you there?
till 65.
65.
66.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yeah.
That's a
So,
nice little run.
That was wonderful.
Yeah, so
And that's where Steve and Paula were.
Paul.
Steve and Paula were both born there. And I had a claim office that covered North and South Dakota, Upper Wisconsin, the Upper Peninsula.
So you traveled a lot.
So big territory.
So how was it having 3 kids at home or 4 kids in the home with him gone all the time?
Missed very much. In fact,
I know he's missed, but it was blurry.
when he was away, I'll be honest with you, when the kids were in bed sleeping, I would sleep on the sofa in the living room with a butcher knife and a pair of scissors every night.
For safety. Watching over your children.
Absolutely.
And
And nothing ever happened.
Nothing, but you never know.
No, I don't. Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't.
And that was early 60s.
Yeah.
yeah,
And in 65 you were
65 to 70.
65,
65
we moved to
California.
no, to Boston.
Boston.
Oh, Boston. Okay, so you're in Boston. Now you've got 4 kids. Karen is 15, 16. She's in high school. Right? She's in high school
Yeah,
in Boston.
yeah.
Tom,
Tom
was,
was
in
in
ninth,
junior high, yeah.
ninth grade. I
Okay.
think, Yeah.
And Steve and Paula were still in grade school. And you're in Boston for how long?
5 years.
5 years. So
And then
65 to 70.
I was a claim manager in Boston, and at that time.